Ambassador Jun Quion was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency alert screamed through his office. The sound made him jump, spilling hot coffee on his desk. He had been Earth's voice to the galaxy for 12 years, but he had never heard that particular alarm before. The holographic display flickered to life above his desk. A tall, blue-skinned alien appeared in the projection. Jun recognized the creature immediately. High Arbitrator Veltar of the Zephyrian Collective. The alien's 4 eyes stared down at him with cold authority. Ambassador of the human species. Veltar's voice was like singing, but there was no warmth in it. You will appear before the Galactic Council within 7 standard cycles. Your species stands accused of serious violations. Jun set down his coffee cup carefully. His hands wanted to shake, but he forced them to stay steady. May I ask what violations, High Arbitrator? Aggressive expansion beyond approved limits. Resource exploitation above permitted quotas. Failure to maintain proper galactic balance. Each word fell like a hammer blow. 7 cycles, Ambassador. Do not be late. The hologram vanished, leaving Jun alone in his office. Outside his window, the blue Earth turned slowly in space. The Luna orbital station was busy as always, with ships coming and going like bright dots of light. 7 cycles. In human time, that was about 2 weeks. Not much time to prepare for what sounded like a trial. Jun pressed a button on his desk. Get me Captain Park and Dr. Lee, emergency meeting in 1 hour. Captain Una Park stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the stars through the main view screen. Her ship was one of the newest in the human fleet, sleek, fast, and heavily armed. Not that anyone was supposed to know about the weapons. The Galactic Council had strict rules about military ships. Captain, her communications officer called out. Priority message from Ambassador Kwong. Una read the message quickly. Her face grew serious. Set course for Luna Station, maximum speed? Yes, Captain. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. 6 hours to think about what this meant. Una had been in space for 15 years, ever since she graduated from the Naval Academy. She had fought pirates in the outer colonies and explored new star systems. But she had never been called to escort diplomats to the Galactic Council. The Council ruled over 847 different species across the galaxy. Humans were the newest members, having joined only 20 years ago. At first, everyone had been excited. Humanity was finally part of something bigger than just their own solar system. But lately, things had felt different. Other species looked at humans with suspicion. They whispered about how fast humans spread to new worlds. They complained about human ships and human colonies and human everything. Una checked her ship's weapons systems. The Defiance was officially a diplomatic escort vessel. But she knew what it really was, a warship disguised as a transport. Just like most of the human fleet, the Council didn't like that either. Dr. Minho Lee sat in his laboratory, surrounded by files about alien species. As humanity's chief xenobiologist, he studied other races for the government. He knew more about alien cultures than almost any other human alive. When the call came from Ambassador Kong, Minho was reading about the Zephyrian legal system. He found it very interesting that they were the ones calling this meeting. Minho gathered his files and headed for the meeting. As he walked through the station corridors, he thought about the charges. Aggressive expansion. Resource exploitation. Failure to maintain galactic balance. The words sounded official, but Minho knew they meant something else. The other species were afraid of humanity. They were afraid of how fast humans learned, how quickly they adapted, how far they spread across. The stars. In 20 years, humans had built colonies on 23 worlds. Most other species took centuries to build that many settlements. The Zephyrians themselves only had 12 colonies, and they had been spacefaring for over 3,000 years, but humans were different. They had learned to survive on Earth through millions of years of competition and conflict. Other species had evolved on safer worlds, with fewer dangers and less pressure to grow strong. Minho reached the meeting room and found Ambassador Kwong waiting for him. The older man looked tired and worried. "Doctor," Kwong said, "thank you for coming quickly. We have a problem." When Captain Park arrived, The three humans sat around a small table in a secure room. The walls blocked all electronic signals. Number 1 could listen to their conversation. Show her the message, Kwang said to Minho. Minho activated a small device. The recording of High Arbitrator Veltar appeared above the table. Yuna watched the alien's cold message. When it ended, she leaned back in her chair. This is bad. Very bad, Kwang agreed. I've been going through our records all morning. Every single human colony was established in unclaimed systems. Every mining operation followed council regulations exactly. Every ship in our fleet meets the size and weapon requirements. Then, why are they calling us criminals? Yuna asked. Minho opened one of his files. Because we're too successful. Look at these numbers. He showed them charts and graphs. In the past 10 years, human trade has increased by 400%. Our population has grown by 60%. We've discovered 15 new technologies and shared all of them with the Council as required. That sounds like good news, Yuna said. Not to them, Minho replied. Other species see our success as a threat. They've been sending complaints to the Council for months. They say humans are too aggressive, too competitive, too ambitious. Kwang rubbed his tired eyes. I've been trying to keep the peace, making compromises, following every rule perfectly. But it's not enough. What do they really want? Yuna asked. Minho pulled up another file. I've been studying council history. 6 times in the past 3 centuries they've called problematic species before tribunals like this. Species that grew too fast or became too powerful. What happened to those species? They don't exist anymore. Not as independent civilizations. They were broken up, scattered, placed under council supervision. Their populations were moved to designated areas. Their technology was confiscated. Their fleets were destroyed. The room fell silent. All 3 humans understood what they were really facing. This isn't about violations, Kwang said quietly. This is about control. They want to stop humanity before we become too strong to control. Yuna stood up and walked to the small window. Outside, she could see Earth in the distance. Her home, the home of 8 billion humans who had no idea their entire future was about to be decided by aliens who feared them. So what do? She asked. We go to their tribunal, Kwang said. We present our case. We follow the diplomatic process. And if that doesn't work? Kwang looked at both of his companions. Then we find out what humanity is really made of. The meeting ended with plans to depart for the council chambers in 3 days. As they prepared to leave, each of them knew this might be the last time they sat together. As representatives of a free human species, the galaxy was about to learn that some species could not be caged. The journey to Viridian Prime took 5 days through hyperspace. Captain Yuna Park had made the trip many times before, but never with such heavy feelings in her heart. The used Defiance carried the 3 human representatives through space lanes filled with alien ships. Captain, her navigator called out. Viridian Prime ahead. You need to see this. Yuna walked to the main view screen and felt her breath catch. Thousands of ships surrounded the crystal world of the Galactic Council. Ships from hundreds of different species, each one bigger than her own vessel. Some looked like giant insects. Made of metal, others were smooth and round like eggs. A few seemed to be made of pure energy contained in force fields. They're trying to scare us, she said to her crew. Show us how small and weak we are. Dr. Minho Lee joined her at the view screen. It's working. I've never seen so many ships in one place. Ambassador Jun Kwang stood behind them, his face calm, but his hands tight on the back of a chair. They want us to feel helpless before we even speak. This is how they control other species. The Defiance received docking instructions and followed. Then to a small bay. As they landed, Yuna noticed something important. Most of the alien ships had no visible weapons. They were big and impressive, but they were built for show, not for fighting. Human ships were different. They looked smaller and simpler, but every line was designed for battle. Humans had learned to fight each other for millions of years. These aliens had lived in peace for thousands of years under council rule. Interesting, Yuna thought to herself. The council chamber was the most amazing thing any human had ever seen. It was a giant crystal dome that seemed to reach into the stars themselves. Inside, floating platforms held representatives from 847 different species. Some aliens swam in tanks of colored liquid. Others hung from the ceiling like bats. A few were so small they needed machines to make their voices loud enough to hear. Others were so large they appeared only as holograms to fit in the space. The three humans walked to the center of the chamber. Their platform was tiny compared to the vast space around them. Every alien eye, tentacle, and sensor turned to look. At them, Ambassador June felt very small, but he stood straight and proud. Captain Yuna kept her hand near her weapon. Even though weapons were forbidden in the chamber, Dr. Minho looked around with scientific curiosity, studying the different species. High Arbitrator Veltar floated above them on a crystal platform. The blue-skinned alien's 4 eyes glowed with cold light. When Veltar spoke, the chamber fell completely silent. "We gather today to address the crimes of the human species." Veltar's voice rang through the dome like a bell. "These newcomers have violated the sacred balance that has kept our galaxy peaceful for 12,000 years. June stepped forward. "High Arbitrator, we request permission to hear the specific charges against our species." "Of course." Veltar gestured, and a holographic display appeared above the humans. Charge 1. Aggressive expansion beyond approved limits. In 10 years, humans have established 23 colonial settlements. Murmurs of shock rippled through the chamber. Many aliens pointed at the humans with whatever appendages they had. Charge 2. Military buildup in violation of peace. Accords. Human fleets have grown by 300% in 5 years. More alien voices joined the murmurs. Some sounded angry. Others sounded frightened. Charge 3. Resource exploitation above sustainable levels. Human mining operations extract materials 50 times faster than any other species. The chamber erupted in alien voices speaking dozens of languages. Veltar raised one hand, and silence returned. "These charges prove that humanity threatens the stability our council has maintained for millennia. How do you answer?" Ambassador June activated his own holographic display. "High Arbitrator, honored representatives, we answer these charges." With facts, the display showed star maps of human space. Every human colony was established in previously unclaimed systems. We followed all exploration protocols. We filed all required reports. Not one human settlement was built in space claimed by another species. Several alien representatives shifted uncomfortably on their platforms. "Regarding our military buildup," June continued, "every human vessel meets council size and weapon restrictions. Our ships are smaller than most species' civilian transports. We have simply built more of them to protect our expanding settlements." The star map changed to show ship specifications. Human vessels were indeed much smaller than most alien ships. "As for resource extraction, we have stayed within all quotas set by this council. Our mining techniques are more efficient, but we extract no more raw materials than permitted." Dr. Minho stepped forward. "If I may add, honored arbitrator, our research shows that efficiency is not a crime. Humans developed these techniques through necessity on our homeworld." High Arbitrator Veltar's eyes narrowed. "Efficiency is not the issue, Dr. Lee. The issue is your species' aggressive nature. Other civilizations expand slowly, carefully, with respect for galactic harmony." "With respect," Captain Yuna said, unable to stay quiet. "Other species had the luxury of slow expansion. Humans learned to adapt quickly because our world forced us to evolve that way." "Exactly," Veltar's voice grew sharper. "Your species is too aggressive, too competitive, too dangerous. You threaten the peace we have worked 12 millennia to build." June felt his patience slipping. "Are we being charged with crimes or with being successful?" "Success without proper restraint is a crime against galactic order," Veltar replied coldly. Dr. Minho had been studying the other species during the hearing. He realized something important and whispered to his companions. "Look around us," he said quietly. Count how many colonies each species has. Yuna and June glanced at the information displays floating near each alien platform. The numbers were shocking. The Zephyrians had 12 colonies after 3,000 years in space. The Crystalline Confederation had 8 colonies after 2,000 years. Even the most successful species had fewer than 20 settlements, and most had taken centuries or millennia to build them. Humans had built 23 colonies in just 10 years. They're not angry about violations, Minho whispered. They're terrified of what we represent. Captain Yuna understood immediately. These alien species had lived under council control for so long they had forgotten how to grow, how to compete, how to push boundaries. They saw humanity's natural drive and energy as something dangerous and wrong. We're not criminals, she realized. We're everything they used to be before the council tamed them. Ambassador June saw the truth as well. This tribunal was not about justice, it was about fear. The council and its member species were afraid that humanity would upset their carefully controlled galaxy. They were afraid that other species might see human success and start asking why they had been held back for so long. High Arbitrator Veltar spoke again. The evidence is clear. Humanity has shown dangerous tendencies toward expansion and militarization. While technically legal, your actions threaten the stability that keeps our galaxy peaceful. So we are not charged with breaking any laws? June asked. You are charged with being a threat to galactic harmony. Based on what we might do, not what we have done. Based on what your species has already demonstrated. Rapid growth, military, expansion, resource consumption. These patterns indicate future aggression. Captain Yuna stepped forward. With respect, High Arbitrator, it sounds like you're punishing us for being successful. We are protecting the galaxy from species that cannot control themselves, Veltar replied. History shows that aggressive species eventually become conquerors. We will not allow that to happen again. Dr. Minho felt a chill run through him. Again? What other species have you dealt with this way? Veltar's expression grew cold. 6. Species in the past 3 centuries required correction. All are now peaceful members of our galactic community. But Minho had studied those species. They were not peaceful members. They were broken peoples, scattered across council worlds, their cultures destroyed, their independence gone. The 3 humans looked at each other with growing understanding. This was not a trial, it was a sentencing. The council had already decided humanity's fate. They were here only to make the process look legal and fair. When will the council render its decision? Ambassador June asked. The decision has been made, High Arbitrator Veltar announced. Tomorrow, we will announce the measures necessary to bring humanity into proper compliance with galactic order. The chamber began to empty as alien representatives floated, walked, or swam away. The 3 humans stood alone on their small platform, surrounded by the vast crystal dome. Well, Captain Yuna said quietly, now we know where we stand. Yes, Ambassador June replied, now we prepare for tomorrow. None of them slept well that night. The next morning, the council chamber felt different. The crystal dome seemed darker, and fewer alien representatives had returned. Those who did attend floated quietly on their platforms. Avoiding eye contact with the 3 humans. High Arbitrator Veltar appeared exactly on time. The blue-skinned alien's 4 eyes glowed with cold satisfaction as the chamber fell silent. The Galactic Council has reached its decision regarding the human species, Veltar announced. The words echoed through the vast dome like a death sentence. Ambassador. June stood straight, ready to hear their fate. Captain Yuna kept her hand near her weapon. Dr. Minho recorded everything on his hidden device. Humanity has demonstrated patterns of aggressive expansion and militarization that threaten galactic stability, Veltar continued. Therefore, the following measures will be implemented immediately. A holographic display appeared above the humans, showing the terms of their punishment. First, all human expansion beyond current territories must cease immediately. No new colonies, no new exploration missions. No new settlements of any kind. Murmurs of approval came from several alien platforms. June felt his heart sink. This, would trap humanity in just 23 star systems forever? Second, 60% of all human military vessels must be surrendered to Council oversight within 30 standard cycles. The remaining vessels will be monitored by Council observers. Captain Yuna's face went white. This would leave humanity almost defenseless against pirates, rebels, or any other threats. Third, all human colonies beyond Earth, Mars, and Luna must be abandoned within 2 standard years. Colonial populations will be relocated to designated zones under Council supervision. The chamber erupted in alien voices expressing satisfaction. Dr. Minho felt sick. They wanted to scatter humanity across the galaxy, breaking up families and destroying communities. Fourth, humanity will pay reparations to the Galactic Council equal to your species' total economic output for the past 5 years. This will compensate other species for the disruption you have caused. The number was impossible. It would bankrupt every human world and reduce Earth to poverty for decades. These terms are non-negotiable, Veltar concluded. Humanity has 72 hours to begin compliance. Failure to cooperate will result in corrective action by Council forces. Ambassador June stepped forward. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking with anger. High Arbitrator, we request time to consult with our government before responding to these demands. Request denied, Veltar replied coldly. The terms are final. Your species will comply or face the consequences. These demands are impossible, June said. You're asking us to abandon our homes, surrender our defenses, and bankrupt our worlds. This isn't justice, it's the destruction of our civilization. Your civilization will continue under proper Council guidance, Veltar said. Many species have been successfully integrated into our galactic community. You will adapt. Dr. Minho spoke up. Integrated? Or destroyed? We've studied the 6 species you corrected before. They exist only as scattered populations with no independence, no culture, no future. They exist in peace, Veltar replied. That is what matters. Captain Yuna could not stay quiet anymore. Peace through slavery is not peace at all, it's cowardice. The chamber fell silent. Several alien representatives gasped in shock. No one had ever spoken to the Council with such direct defiance. Veltar's eyes blazed with anger. Your species' aggressive nature proves our decision is correct. You will learn respect, human. No, June said quietly. We will not. The 3 humans turned and walked toward the exit. Behind them, alien voices rose in confusion and alarm. No species had ever simply walked away from a Council judgment. As they reached the chamber doors, Veltar's voice followed them. You have 72 hours, humans. After that, we will come for you. June stopped and looked back at the High Arbitrator. Then you had better bring everything you have. Back aboard the UES Defiance, Captain Yuna received emergency transmissions from across human space. Word of the Council's ultimatum had already spread to every human world. Captain, her communications officer reported, incoming messages from Earth, the Colonial Federation, and all 23 settled systems. They're all saying the same thing, which is? They refuse to comply. Every colonial governor has rejected Council authority. Earth's president is calling an emergency session of the Global Assembly. Yuna smiled grimly. And our fleet? Admiral. Kim reports all human vessels are moving to defensive positions. The shipyards are working around the clock. Every civilian transport is being converted for military use. Dr. Minho looked up from his computer. I'm receiving coded messages from my contacts throughout Council space. Other species are watching to see what we do. Some are hoping we succeed. Ambassador June opened a secure channel to Earth. Within minutes, President Sojin Choi appeared on the main screen. The leader of humanity looked tired but determined. Ambassador, she said, report on the Council's demands. June summarized the impossible terms. President Choi listened without interruption, her face growing harder with each word. I see, she said when he finished. And what is your recommendation? The terms are designed to destroy us as an independent species, June replied. Compliance means the end of human freedom. Then we refuse, President Choi said simply. Oh. Human worlds stand united. We will not surrender our children's future to alien masters who fear our success. The transmission ended, but moments later every human ship in space received the same message. Return home immediately. Humanity chooses freedom. As the Defiance prepared to leave Viridian Prime, Captain Yuna noticed something troubling. Council security ships were moving to block the exit routes from the system. "They're not going to let us leave," she told her companions. "Then we make our own exit," June replied. Yuna activated the ship's weapon systems. The Defiance was officially a diplomatic vessel, but it carried enough firepower to level a small city. "This is Captain Park of the UES Defiance," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We are departing this system. Any attempt to stop us will be met with appropriate force." 3. Council security ships moved to intercept them. They were large, impressive vessels designed to intimidate merchant ships and civilian transports they had never faced. A human warship, the battle lasted exactly 4 minutes. The Defiance used tactics that no alien had ever seen: quick strikes, evasive maneuvers, and concentrated firepower at weak points. The Council ships were built for show, not for fighting an enemy that struck back. 2 security ships were disabled. The third retreated in panic. The Defiance flew past them toward the hyperspace jump point. As they escaped the system, Dr. Minho monitored alien communications. The Council forces were in chaos. No one knew how to respond to a species that fought back instead of surrendering. "This is just the beginning," Captain Yuna said as they jumped to hyperspace. "When we get home, the real war starts." Ambassador June looked at his companions. "Are you ready for what comes next?" "We've been ready our whole lives," Yuna replied. "We just didn't know it yet." Behind them, Viridian Prime burned with the light of confused and frightened alien fleets. For the first time in 12,000 years, the Galactic Council faced a species that refused to be conquered. 3 weeks later, the galaxy had changed forever. Human colonies across space declared independence from the Galactic Council. Colonial militias armed themselves with whatever weapons they could find. Civilian ships became scouts and messengers, carrying news between distant human worlds. On Earth, President Sojin Choi stood before the Global Assembly and billions of watching humans. Her speech was broadcast to every human settlement from the Sol system to the edge of known space. "My fellow humans," she began, "the Galactic Council has shown its true nature. They fear us not because we are criminals, but because we are free. They demand we surrender our children, our homes, and our future to preserve their ancient tyranny." The assembly hall was completely silent. Every representative understood that this moment would define humanity's place in the galaxy. "Today I announce the formation of the Terran Colonial Federation. Every human world that chooses freedom is welcome. Every human who refuses to bow to alien masters has a place with us." Cheers erupted from the assembly and from human worlds. Across the galaxy, for the first time in 20 years, humanity stood united under its own flag. "We did not seek this fight," President Choi continued, "but we will not run from it. If the Council wants war, they will have it." Admiral Tae-yun Kim commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled. 200 ships floated in formation near Jupiter, their hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. They were not the biggest ships in the galaxy, but they were built by a species that understood war. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "long range. Sensors detect a Council fleet approaching the Sol system. Over 800 vessels from 40 different species." Kim studied the tactical display. The enemy fleet was massive, but it was also spread out and poorly coordinated. Each species flew their ships differently, used different weapons, followed different tactics. "They think numbers will win this fight," Kim said to his staff. "They're about to learn otherwise." The human fleet moved to intercept the Council forces at the edge of the solar system. As they approached, Kim opened a communication channel. "To all human ships, remember your training," he said. "We are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for every species that has been broken by Council tyranny. We are fighting for the right to be free." The Battle of Sol began at 1430 Earth Standard Time. The Council fleet attacked in waves, each species group advancing separately. It was exactly what the humans had hoped for. Admiral Kim split his fleet into small, fast squadrons. Instead of meeting the enemy head-on, human ships darted between the alien formations like wolves among sheep. They struck hard, then vanished before the enemy could respond. Captain Una Park led Squadron 7 against a formation of crystalline Confederation ships. The aliens' vessels were beautiful, shining like jewels in space, but they were fragile. And slow. All ships target their power cores, Una ordered. Hit them fast and move. Her squadron dove through the alien formation, weapons blazing. Crystalline ships shattered like glass under human firepower. Within minutes, 12 enemy vessels were destroyed or disabled. The Confederation ships tried to pursue, but human vessels were already attacking from a different angle. The aliens had no experience fighting an enemy that refused to stand still and trade blows. Across the battle zone, the same pattern repeated. Zephyrian ships were elegant but lightly armored. Insectoid vessels were tough but slow to turn. Energy-based. Life forms had powerful weapons but no defense against solid projectiles. Humans had spent centuries fighting each other. They knew every trick, every weakness, every way to win against impossible odds. The Council forces had spent millennia following orders and keeping peace. They had forgotten how to fight. Dr. Minho Lee watched the battle from the command center. On Luna, his job was to analyze enemy tactics and find weaknesses. What he saw amazed him. "They're not really fighting," he reported to Admiral Kim. "They're performing a ceremony they think is warfare. They advance in perfect formations, fire at maximum range, and expect us to do the same. And when we don't, they panic. Look at Sector 7. 3 entire species groups are retreating because we attacked from an unexpected direction." The truth was becoming clear. The Galactic Council ruled through fear and tradition, not military power. Their mighty fleets were for show, designed to intimidate civilizations that had forgotten how to resist. Humanity had never forgotten. The battle turned into a rout. Council forces that outnumbered humans 4-1 began retreating in disorder. Some species fled the moment their formation was broken. Others surrendered rather than face human boarding parties. Admiral Kim could have destroyed the entire enemy fleet, but he chose mercy. "Let them go," he ordered. "We are not conquerors. We are liberators." The surviving Council ships limped away from Sol System, carrying news of their defeat to every corner of the galaxy. For the first time in 12,000 years, the Galactic Council had been beaten in open battle, but Kim knew this was only the beginning. "Prepare for the next phase," he told his staff. "They'll be back with everything they have." On Viridian Prime, High Arbitrator Veltar received the reports with growing horror. The human fleet had not just won, they had made the Council forces look like amateurs. "How is this possible?" Veltar demanded of the military commanders. 800 ships against 200, and we lose? "The humans fight differently," Admiral Corveth of the Insectoid Empire reported. "They do not follow proper battle protocols. They attack from unexpected angles, use unconventional weapons, refuse to engage in honorable combat." "You mean they fight to win instead of fighting to look impressive?" Dr. Minho's voice came from a hidden transmitter he had left in the Council. Chamber. Security forces searched frantically for the source of the transmission, but Minho was already back on Luna, safe in human space. "This is not over, humans," Veltar broadcast to the galaxy. "We will gather every ship, every species, every resource. You cannot defeat the entire galaxy." President Choi's response was broadcast from Earth minutes later. "We don't want to defeat the galaxy, we want to free it." And across the galaxy, on worlds that had been under Council control for millennia, people began to listen. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy was in chaos. 17 species had declared independence from the Galactic Council. Human agents moved secretly through Council space, carrying messages of freedom to oppressed worlds. Director Hosiok Jang ran the Human Intelligence Network from a hidden base in the asteroid belt. His agents were volunteers, humans who had given up their normal lives to help other species find freedom. "Sir," one of his operatives reported, "we have confirmation. The Council is assembling the largest fleet in galactic history. Over 2,000 ships from every loyal species. Kang studied the intelligence reports. The numbers were staggering, but he noticed something important. Look at the species roster. Half of these are conscripts, forced to fight by Council threats. What does that mean for us? It means we have allies in the enemy fleet. They just don't know it yet. The Council's great fleet gathered at Proxima Centauri, the closest star system to Earth. High Arbitrator Veltar had taken personal command, determined to crush the human rebellion once and for all. This ends here, Veltar declared to the assembled fleet commanders. Humanity will be reduced to a single world. Their colonies will be destroyed, their ships will be scrap metal. The galaxy will see what happens to species that defy Council authority. But as the massive fleet prepared to attack Sol System, they received an unexpected message. Admiral Namjoon Song of the Human Defense Force appeared on every screen in the Council fleet. He was young for an admiral, but his eyes held the wisdom of someone who understood the cost of freedom. "Attention Council forces," he said calmly. "You are approaching human space with hostile intent. This is your only warning. Turn back now or face the consequences." Laughter echoed through the Council fleet. 2,000 ships against a few hundred humans? The outcome seemed obvious, Veltar responded personally. "Admiral Song, you are outnumbered 10-1. Surrender now and we will show mercy to your civilians." "Hi." "Arbitrator," Song replied, "you still don't understand what you're fighting. You see numbers. We see neighbors, friends, and family. You command slaves, we lead free people. That makes all the difference." The Battle of Proxima began at dawn, Earth time. But this was not like any battle the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Song did not wait for the enemy to reach Sol System. Instead, the human fleet jumped directly into the middle of the Council formation at Proxima Centauri. "All ships," Song broadcast to his fleet, "remember the mission. We're not just fighting for humanity. We're fighting to free everyone who has been trapped by Council tyranny." The human fleet was outnumbered, but they had advantages the Council did not understand. Every human ship was crewed by volunteers who believed in their cause. Every human captain had trained for this moment their entire life. Most importantly, humans had learned the enemy's weaknesses during 6 months of smaller battles. Captain Una Park, now commanding the heavy cruiser Liberation, led the first attack. Her squadron targeted the Zephyrian command ships, knowing that the blue-skinned aliens controlled communications for half the fleet. "Take out their command structure," she ordered. "Confusion is our best weapon." Human ships dove through the massive enemy formation like fighters attacking a bomber fleet. They ignored the smaller vessels and went straight for command ships. Communication relays and coordination centers. Within an hour, the Council fleet was blind and confused. Ships from different species could not communicate with each other. Formations broke apart as commanders lost contact with their subordinates. Engineer Sheyung Han worked frantically in the captured technology lab aboard the Defiance for months. She had been studying alien technology, looking for weaknesses. "Admiral Song," she reported over the communication system, "I've found something important. Council ships have a shared frequency for emergency broadcasts. If we can hack into it." "Do it," Song replied immediately. Chae-Young's fingers flew over her controls. Within minutes she had broken the Council's communication codes. Human voices began broadcasting on the emergency frequency, but they were not speaking to humans. Dr. Min-Ho Lee had prepared messages in dozens of alien languages. His words went out to every ship in the Council fleet. "Attention oppressed peoples," Min-Ho said. "In perfect crystalline harmony speak. You do not have to fight for your oppressors. The humans offer alliance to any species that chooses freedom." The message was repeated in insectoid clicking language, Zephyrian song speech, and dozens of other alien tongues. "Your Council masters fear you," Min-Ho continued. "They fear your strength, your potential, your right to choose your own future. Today you can choose to be free." The effect was immediate and devastating. Ships throughout the Council fleet began to slow, stop, or even turn away from the battle. Entire formations of conscripted species decided they would rather face council punishment than die. For their oppressors, the crystalline confederation ships were the first to break ranks. Their captains had never wanted to fight humans, and now they had an excuse to stop. The insectoid empire squadrons followed. Their warrior culture respected the humans' fighting spirit more than the council's threats. Even some Zephyrian vessels began to withdraw, their crews unwilling to die for High Arbitrator Veltar's pride. High Arbitrator Veltar watched in horror as the great fleet dissolved around him. "Traitors!" he screamed over the communication channels. "Cowards! You will all be punished for this betrayal." But his threats fell on deaf ears. For the first time in 12,000 years, the subject species of the galaxy were choosing their own fate instead of following council orders. Admiral Song saw the opportunity and took it. All ships advance on the remaining council forces. Show them what happens when free people fight together. The human fleet, now joined by hundreds of defecting alien vessels, closed in on the core council formations. These were the species that truly supported the oppressive system, the enforcers, the overseers, the ones who profited from keeping others down. The battle became a demonstration of human military superiority. Ships designed by a species that had survived ice ages, predators, plagues, and wars proved vastly superior to vessels built by civilizations that had known only peace under council protection. Captain Una Park's squadron destroyed 3 council dreadnoughts in 15 minutes. The enemy ships were impressive but slow, armed with weapons designed for intimidation rather than actual combat. The Liberation itself took on High Arbitrator Veltar's flagship, a massive crystal ship that had ruled the galaxy for centuries. The duel lasted only minutes. Human weapons, designed for efficiency rather than beauty, tore through the alien vessel's decorative armor like it was paper. Veltar's ship exploded in a shower of crystal fragments, ending 12,000 years of council supremacy in a flash of light. When the battle ended, less than 10% of the original council fleet remained. The survivors fled in panic, carrying news of their defeat to the farthest corners of the galaxy. Admiral Song surveyed the battlefield with mixed feelings. Victory was sweet, but the cost had been high. Hundreds of human ships were damaged or destroyed. Thousands of brave men and women had given their lives for freedom. But as he watched alien ships approach under flags of truce, Song knew the sacrifice had been worth it. Representatives from dozens of species requested permission to join the Human Alliance. "Admiral," Dr. Minho reported from his analysis station, "we're receiving surrender requests from over 300 council worlds. The Empire is collapsing. And the rebellion? Spreading faster than we can track. 17 more species declared independence just during the battle. The council has lost control." Song opened a channel to all ships, human and alien alike. "This is Admiral Song of the Human Defense Force. Today, we have proven that freedom is stronger than tyranny. But our work is not finished. The galaxy is full of people who still live under oppression. We will not rest until every sentient being has the right to choose their own destiny." Cheers echoed across the communication channels in dozens of languages. For the first time in galactic history, former enemies stood together as equals and allies. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of freedom had begun. 1 year after the Battle of Proxima, Ambassador Jun Kwang stood once again in the council chamber on Viridian Prime, but everything had changed. The crystal dome still reached toward the stars, but now it held representatives from the Free Species Alliance, where 847 species had once bowed to council authority. Over 400 independent civilizations now gathered as equals. The remaining council members huddled on a few platforms in one corner of the vast chamber. They looked small and afraid, nothing like the proud rulers they had once been. June was no longer just humanity's ambassador. He had been elected speaker for the Alliance, chosen by species across the galaxy to represent their shared values of freedom and cooperation. The Free Species Alliance recognizes the right of all sentient beings to determine their own future. June announced to the chamber, "We offer friendship to any species that chooses peace. We offer protection to any people who face oppression. High Arbitrator Veltar was dead, killed when his flagship exploded at Proxima. The new council leadership had requested this meeting to discuss surrender terms. We wish to negotiate, said Sub-Arbitrator Melkar, the highest-ranking council official to survive the war. Perhaps we can find a way to coexist. President Minji Kang appeared as a hologram beside June. She was Earth's new leader, elected, specifically to guide humanity through the challenges of galactic leadership. There is nothing to negotiate, she said firmly but without cruelty. The age of council rule is over. Any species that wishes to join the alliance as an equal partner is welcome. Any species that continues to oppress others will face our combined strength. Captain Una Park, now Admiral Park, commanded the Joint Alliance Fleet. Her ships patrolled the galaxy, responding to calls for help from newly liberated worlds. Sometimes they fought pirates or slavers. Sometimes they simply delivered food and medicine to planets damaged by centuries of council neglect. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, distress signal from the Kepler sector. The Dominion slave ships are raiding civilian targets again? Una sighed. Some species had responded to the Council's fall by becoming raiders and conquerors themselves. The Alliance spent much of its time stopping these new threats. Set course for Kepler. Signal the freedom and the independence to join. U.S. Let's remind the Dominion why slavery is a bad idea. The Alliance fleet was a wonder to behold. Human ships flew alongside former enemies, their crews working together as friends. Crystalline vessels provided shielding for insectoid fighters. Zephyrian scouts shared intelligence with human commanders. Together, they were stronger than any force the galaxy had ever seen. Dr. Minho Lee now ran the Galactic Cultural Exchange program from a beautiful station orbiting Viridian Prime. His mission was to help liberated species rediscover their own histories and traditions. Dr. Lee, his assistant Soren announced, the delegation from the Forgotten Worlds has arrived. Minho smiled. The Forgotten Worlds were 12 planets that had been so thoroughly suppressed by the Council that their people had forgotten their own names. They called themselves by the numbers the Council had assigned them. World 749, the delegation leader said in broken standard. We remember ... We remember songs. From before Council time, can you help us find our real names? Of course, Minho replied in their ancient tongue, which he had spent months learning from old records. You are the singers of the crystal moons. Your world was called Harmony Understars. Your people were poets and musicians who brought beauty to the galaxy. Tears flowed down the alien's face. We ... We are the singers. We had music? You still do, Minho said gently. It's time to sing again. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as species after species reclaimed their heritage. The Council had tried to erase entire cultures, but the Alliance helped restore them. Engineer Sheung Han worked in the largest research facility ever built. Her team included scientists from hundreds of different species, all working together to advance galactic civilization. The new propulsion system is ready for testing, she reported to the Alliance Council, using combined human engineering and crystalline energy techniques. We can travel between star systems in days instead of weeks. And the other projects? Asked President Kang. Medical research is progressing rapidly. The insectoid knowledge of biology combined with human adaptability has led to cures for 17 previously incurable diseases. The Zephyrian Harmony techniques are helping traumatized populations heal from Council oppression. This was what the Alliance was really about, not conquest or control, but cooperation. Each species contributed their unique strengths to benefit everyone. There's something else, Che-Yung added. We've detected signals from beyond the galactic rim. There may be other civilizations out there, perhaps other councils like the one we defeated. President Kang nodded thoughtfully. Then we had better be ready to help them too, if they need it. The Free Species Alliance grew stronger every month. Trade flowed freely between member worlds. Cultural exchanges brought new ideas and perspectives to everyone. Scientific cooperation advanced knowledge faster than ever before. But the alliances Greatest strength was its military. Not because they sought war, but because they were prepared to defend freedom wherever it was threatened. Admiral Song, now Supreme Commander of Alliance forces, kept careful watch on the galaxy's borders. Reports came in regularly of distant empires that still practiced slavery, conquest, and oppression. "Sir," his intelligence chief reported, long range. "Scouts have confirmed it. There's a massive empire in the next galaxy, and they're expanding in our direction. Early estimates suggest they control over 10,000 worlds." Song studied the reports carefully. How long before they reach Alliance? Space? At their current expansion rate, about 50 years. Then we have 50 years to prepare, and 50 years to help any species that wants freedom. Song smiled grimly. "I think that's enough time. On Earth, in the gardens of New Geneva, children from dozens of different species played together under the lunar dome. Their laughter echoed in languages that had been forbidden under council rule but now rang freely through the air. Ambassador Jun Quang walked through the gardens with his granddaughter, a little girl who spoke human standard, crystalline harmony song, and insectoid click speech with equal fluency. "Grandfather," she asked, "why did the bad aliens want to stop us from being free?" Jun thought carefully about his answer. "Because they were afraid, little one. They thought freedom was dangerous because it meant they couldn't control everything. But freedom is good, right?" "Freedom is everything," Jun replied. "It's the right to choose your own path, to grow as much as you can, to help others and accept help in return." The council forgot that, and they became small and afraid. A message arrived on his personal communicator. 3 more species had just requested Alliance membership. The galaxy continued to choose freedom over oppression. "Will we ever be like the bad aliens?" his granddaughter asked. June looked around at the children playing together, at the peaceful station where former enemies now worked as friends, at the stars where free peoples traveled and traded and shared knowledge. "Not as long as we remember what we're fighting, FOR," he said. "Not as long as we remember that true strength comes from protecting others, not controlling them." The little girl nodded seriously, then ran off to play with her friends, a crystalline child who glowed softly, an insectoid youngling with gentle antennae, and a dozen others whose species had once been enemies. The galaxy was free, and humanity stood ready to defend that freedom against any threat, not as conquerors or rulers, but as friends and protectors. The age of tyranny was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And in the vast reaches of space, humanity continued to do what they had always done best: adapt, survive, and help others do the same. The end.